and welcome. Nice to have you with us on a Friday afternoon. Hi, everybody. Yours truly, Christopher Russo, kicking off a broadcast day here on the great SiriusXM 82. Good to have you aboard as we chat. Eddie Erickson today, Colin Schmelling today on the great SiriusXM as we babble away. Get you home. 888 Mad Dog 6 is your two-way sports talk telephone number as we do this and do a little of that on an afternoon program. Jerry Harkness today, he, of course, in that Loyola 63 team. Sean McManus a little bit later on today. We look forward to that. A.J. Preller today. Don Mattingly today. So we'll give you a little baseball, a little college basketball, and we'll take you home here on this afternoon show. We'll get it started with the hoops. And, you know, I was in and out last night of the early games. I had a Shorehaven meeting, board meeting, so those last a while. So I excused myself late in the Loyola game. So I saw the last 4 minutes, and I obviously got home and I saw most of I saw a lot of the Gonzaga game, and I saw most of the second half of the Kentucky game. And I'll tell you, there's two things that stick out. First off, the NCAA is going to have a little trouble here with trying to sell these games here on that side of the bracket. Loyola and Kansas State's a rough watch. I'm sure the first game tomorrow is 6 o'clock. I didn't look at the times, but I'd be stunned if it isn't. And then Florida State and Michigan is game 2, which is not a bad game. Florida State, of course, is a football school, not a basketball school. Michigan brings in the Big Ten. So it's not a bad game by any stretch. It's okay. It's not a great game, then it's not a terrible game. That first game, I know Loyola's everybody's darlings right now, and as they should be. Big baskets last night, the huge three, did a good job, and a couple of maybe a little questionable shot selection moves by Nevada. They blew a big lead in the first half, and they came from behind in the second half. Good baskets, good ball movement by the Ramblers in that second half, and they got big baskets, at least what I saw of it. Again, I only saw the last 3:13, and they made enough plays to get the job done. But that Loyola game tomorrow against Kansas State is going to be I'm not sure if the game is on CBS or TBS. TBS, that's the 6 o'clock game, and there's a second game on TBS as well. Boy, oh boy, they are going to get absolutely, and they can bring up all the screen time and all the apps, and they can talk about streaming until the absolute cows come home. Loyola and Kansas State tomorrow at 6 o'clock. That is not a bonanza from a television perspective on TBS, no less. Anyway, that is what this tournament now, that's what happens when you get a lot of upsets. It gives the tournament breath and it gives it life early, but then eventually you want to see those big teams, Virginia, Kentucky, Arizona, and North Carolina. You want to see these big teams at the end of the day playing in the Final 8, Final 12, Final 16, whatever the case might be. Not Final 12, Final 8, and Final 16, and obviously you're not going to have that now on that side of the bracket. Now, in the Kentucky scenario, they got to make a free throw. I mean, I'm not too sure what to tell you. I didn't pick this game up until really at halftime, and I know Kentucky had a good lead early in the game. Didn't they 13-1 at one point? But boy, I'll tell you, P.J. Washington, who looks like a good player here, but you got to make some free throws, son. I mean, that's all there was to it. 8 for 20 for the line. And he has a great game overall. 3 steals, a block shot, 18 points, 15 rebounds, 6 of them offensive, plays 40 minutes. You know, doesn't foul out and everything else. You love what you see, but you cannot, under any circumstances, in a low-scoring, possession-by-possession game, which this game was, although did Kentucky fell behind by 8 in the second half. This is the kind of game this was. You can't shoot 8 to 20 from the foul line. I mean, that's just all there was to it. And poor, I'll tell you, so whatever it might be, Calipari has been bewitched by foul line issues his whole career. We all know about the Memphis game against Kansas. That team was an awful free throw shooting team. It overcame that and was not really halted by bad free throw shooting until the championship game when they began to miss some and Kansas came back and won. But boy, last night, I don't know what Kentucky is on the year. Free throw, I think it's 71%. Last night they were at 62%, and that just was an atrocious performance at the line. And Kansas State, who you and I, Steve Torrey, and Danny Cannell could not make one player out of a lineup I couldn't tell you one player out of a lineup on that team. I mean, I know him now a little bit, and I know they got a big player hurt. I've heard of Xavier Sneed, and I know Cartier Diarra. I mean, I know some of them now, but boy, I didn't know him for a long period of time. I know Barry Brown, but boy, oh boy, Kansas State. You talk about a team that is as nondescript a team as you can find, and they knock out Kentucky. First time in program's history, 9 tries. They beat the Wildcats, and they get into an Elite Eight game, and they will do that against Loyola. So that will be the 6 o'clock. And Loyola does what it does. I would have picked Loyola last night because I just like the way Loyola gets baskets at the end of these games. I would have picked them to beat Nevada. Nevada was fortunate to beat Cincinnati 22 down, what they did. So I would have gone Loyola. I would have been very lucky to win. Obviously, I like Texas A&M. They were blown out right from the get-go. There's no way I'm taking Kansas State, and there's no way I'm taking Florida State. So I would have had a rough night last night. I would have gone 1 for 3. And Gonzaga never really got in the flow of the game. Good performance all the way around by Florida State. They did a nice job in this tournament. Normally, they are very erratic. You know, they win a great game, then the next game they stink. And you say, geez, what happened to the team that I just saw 2 nights ago? That's not been the case. And they've done a nice job. They won a rough first-round game. They were an 8-9 seed, or they a 9 seed. They won a tough first-round game. They bounced back in the second round. Obviously, big comeback against Xavier. And then, of course, we see them last night. And they control the game from start to finish. I think they were up by, 8 at halftime? What was the score at the half? The score at the half, I don't even know what the score at the half was. I know they were winning at the half. I think it was about 8 points. 8 doesn't give me the right box score. It just gives me a couple. But I know they were winning at the half. And then, of course, second half, they, for the most part, kept Gonzaga at bay, win the game 75-60, up 9 at the half. So Florida State looked to be in pretty good shape as far as I'm concerned. Again, they had 2 good games. They were both in the same region in Atlanta. The games in L.A. were awful. You want your money back. Michigan was up, 25 at halftime? 49-23 or whatever it was? 52-28 for Michigan at the half. They shot 62%. When you shoot 62%, you're going to win. That's all there is to it. And you also make 14 threes. You can't lose. I guess they just blew them out throughout. Again, I didn't see one basket in this game, so I don't have a feel. And Michigan had not played well in this tournament. Let's keep that in mind. Had not played well in this tournament. And A&M, maybe that travel took a little something out of them. They did shoot the ball pretty well last night. Bad from 3. Maybe a lot of that stuff was in garbage time and maybe bad early in the game. But the game was never competitive is all you need to know. And you could tell that by looking at the score. It's like 25-7, the first score I looked at, and they were flying. So Michigan tomorrow now against Florida State. You got to take Michigan in the game. I think Florida State will be competitive, though. They got a lot of athletes. They got size. They got a good bench. He plays a lot of players. Last night he played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He played really the whole team, and everybody played in double digits in minutes except for one kid and another kid off the bench. So they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They had 11. Is that right? 3, 5, 6, 7. They had 10 guys playing double digits last night. So Florida State did what they had to do and won the game going away. Listen, I think Kansas, I'll take Loyola. I think Loyola and Michigan will win tomorrow. I'll take that pick. I'll come back and do the other side in a sec here on Mad Dog Unleashed.
Lock it in.